So in this series, we're going to be remaking the old programming language series, but we're going to be doing it right this time. We're going to be implementing our own version of BASIC, but we're going to be using all of the proper techniques used to create real interpreters and compilers. So here's what our language is going to look like. So you can see we have our simple interpreter, and if I was to type 1 plus 2, we would get the answer printed out. I can type in as many terms as I want, and we get the correct answer. We can also create variables, so we could say a equals 10. We could create string variables too, and we just print them out by typing the variable into our interpreter. Along with variables and mathematical operations, real programming languages need control flow and loops. So for control flow, we're going to implement a simple if statement, and for looping, we're going to create a for loop. So to create a loop, we say if, and then we give our condition. So I could say if a equals 10, then we're going to do something. So in this case, we're going to say a equals a times 2. Otherwise, we're going to say a equals a times 5. So if I hit enter, that code was executed. So now if I try to see what a is, you can see a is 20 because when we first called this code, a was 10. So that condition was true. So we executed this part of our if statement. If a was not 10, we would execute this part. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this if statement again. And now a is not 10. So the second part of the if statement is going to be called. So if I run a now, you can see a was multiplied by 5 and we got 100. Next, we're going to look at for loops. So a for loop looks like this. What we do is we create a for loop, we create our variables. So normally we would have for I equals 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, something like that. Basic for loops are a bit different. We have for x equals 0, then we have our conditions, so 0 to 5, so we're going to run the loop 5 times. And we don't need to increment it because that's built into the loop. So this is our for loop. It's going to run 5 times, and every time it runs, we're going to multiply the x variable by 2. We're not going to store the result, we're just going to output x times 2. So if I hit enter, you can see we get x times 2 every time the loop runs. We can also create functions, so if we use the fun keyword, we give our function a name. We don't currently support parameters because those are a bit more complicated to implement, and everything in our language it should be entered on one line, just to make things more simple. But you can see we create our function, we give it a name, and we use the arrow operator to tell the programming language that the next thing we're going to give it is the code to run in the function. So whenever we run our function, we're going to run a for loop. It's going to run 10 times, and then we're going to run an if statement inside the for loop. So we're going to say if x equals 5, then we're going to multiply x by 100. Otherwise, we're just going to output x. So if I hit enter now, that created our function. And to call the function, all we need to do is type in test with the 2 round brackets after it, just like you would expect. Hit enter, and that called our function and ran our for loop with our if statement. And that is a really basic programming language, and that's what we're going to be implementing today. So in this video, we're going to be learning about the Lexer. So I've got another version which is just the Lexer, and whenever I type in any code, instead of parsing it and running the code, all we're doing is we're outputting the tokens, as you can see here. So that's the first step in a programming language. The first thing we do is we take our source file, we convert the letters in the source file into tokens, and then we pass those tokens to our parser. Our parser tries to understand what those tokens mean together. The parser builds the abstract syntax tree, and to execute the program, we just walk along our abstract syntax tree. So in this video, we're going to be working with Sly. It's a special Python Lexer and parser generator. So we give Sly a grammar and we tell it what tokens we want, and it generates a Lexer and a parser for us. And then it makes it really easy for us to build our tree and execute our program. So we're going to use Sly, and Sly has a calculator example. So we're going to be using that as our template for our programming language. But to get started, what you want to do is you want to say pip3 install Sly. So you run that will install the Sly library, and then you'll be able to say from Sly import Lexer at the top of your file. Then what we do is we create a class. I called it basic Lexer, and we inherit the features of the Lexer class that Sly gave us when we imported it. That's what gives us access to all these fancy functions. So what we do is we create a variable called tokens, and this is going to have all of the tokens our programming language is going to understand. So we just have to give them all a name. Then we have a special variable called ignore, and that lets us ignore tabs and spaces. Then we have our literals, which are just 1 character tokens. So we have an equal sign, a plus sign, a minus sign, etc. Next, we have our keywords, our actual tokens that we use when we write programs. So we've got if, then, else, for, fun, to, and our arrow operator. Then we have variables, which are a regular expression. These are all regular expressions, but this is a more complicated one. So all this says is the first character has to be A to Z, lowercase, A to Z, uppercase, or an underscore. And every character after the first one has to be A to Z, or 0 to 9, or an underscore. And then a string is this one here. This just means a string has to start with a double quote, end with a double quote, and it can have anything in between that. Next, we have to define what a number is. So we're creating a function because we want to have a bit more control over our number token that we don't need for these sort of tokens up here. So when we see a number, we use the regular expression to say that it has to be one or more digits. And when we get a number, we want to convert it to a Python number, and that's what we're doing in this function, and then we're returning our token. Next, we have comments. So a comment just starts with a hashtag, and then anything after it is just ignored. So we just use the pass keyword to just completely ignore it because this function doesn't do anything. And then finally, for new lines, if we see a new line, we're going to increment the line number variable. This way, if we get an error, we can tell the user what line the error occurred on. Other than that, we're not using new lines for anything. So the next thing we do is we just create an instance of our Lexer. Here what we do is create an infinite loop. We get input from the user, and if the input is okay, we pass that input to our Lexer, and we get the tokens from our Lexer and we print them out. So if we run this again, here is our if statement from earlier. If I hit enter, you can see all of the tokens that generated. The first one's an if, the next one's a name because it's a variable, then we have our double equals, then we have a number, then we have our then keyword, another variable, and you can see it goes on. And you can see tokens get quite long quite quick. If I put in the tokens to define a function, you can see we get quite a lot of tokens returned. But that's the first stage in creating any compiler or interpreter. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. In the next video, we're going to be working on the parser. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.